Welcome back, everybody. Emerge Podcast, episode 28. Another guest for you today. So just before we introduce Cammy, or Cameron is your Sunday name, we'll just do a wee bit of housekeeping as usual. So just to say thanks to everybody for listening, subscribing. We've had a few more subscribers since the last episode. So I just continue to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, as well as our social media. So we've got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything.
Hunters, we've got absolutely everything, Cammy. You would not believe the pipes that
I'll get subscribing on a lot of them.
That's good, That's good.
So,
do you think just people listening to you, Gav, now? You're becoming like a force on the internet? People, you're going, go subscribe, and they're going, right, okay. No, right, okay.
No, definitely not. I'd like to think so, but maybe in the next couple of months, mate, we'll be there. Or thereabouts. Even if I get thereabouts, I don't need to be there. You know what I mean?
Well,
anyway,
I'm just be there. I know you're rabbling.
I know I'm talking shite now. So anyway, on to Cammy, on to the main event. So we're joined today by Cammy McDermott, who is a sports scientist, first and foremost. Your career as a sports scientist, and you're now a personal trainer as well. Working out, I take it a freelance personal trainer.
I just gone freelance just now, just as I've sort of just started it up. So just still finding my feet in that industry, I suppose. But
yeah,
freelance just now.
We've broke a rule for 3 podcasts ago, saying that we're done with PTs and that.
It's a special occasion, mate. It's a special occasion.
But so are you doctor, or are you just Cameron?
Just plain on Cameron, aye.
Would you prefer Cammy or Cameron? Would you want?
Cammy. Prefer Cammy. Everyone knows me as Cammy. I always introduce myself as Cammy. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So Cammy, main question: you still a Celtic fan?
I've got nobody paying my wages now, so everyone that knows me, they always ask that what team do you support? Because I've worked for a few clubs, and I always used to answer whoever was paying my wages. So
that's me. That's my kind of guy.
Man for hire.
Man for hire.
So we'll just dive in. First of all, what we normally do with our guest Cammy is just to kind of go back to growing up and then talk about like sort of education stuff like that, what you've done to get to where you are, and then we'll dive into, like you said, some of the football clubs and stuff like that you worked with. So first of all, so you grew up in Kirky, is that right?
Yep, I just grew up in Kirkcaldy, so
cool.
Primary school, high school here, aye.
So you were destined to be shite at football then?
Aye, definitely. To be fair, there's a few.
I missed that joke. Yeah, what's the joke?
It was just a wee joke, mate. I said that you were destined to be shite at football then.
Aye, but is everybody in Kirky shite at football?
There's a few boys that have done alright themselves, but I'm definitely not one of them. So.
No, I'm only kidding. But Charlie Mulgrew's for Kirky, isn't he?
Aye, Charlie Mulgrew.
Great.
Scott Brown, but no Celtic. Scott Brown. Scott Brown plays with Peterhead. Greg Wild. Craig Halkett. Is it Hearts just?
Is he? Aye.
Aye.
Can't come on here. We'll have a big list beside him. Kirkintillions that made it.
So you involved in football kind of through school and stuff like that?
Not really. I mean, the way I ended up working in football was kind of weird because I never really played it growing up. Like outside of five-a-sides, I was never really, as you know, obviously you played mate fives, Gavin. I'm fucking murdered at that anyway.
No, not at all, mate. That's all right.
So it was actually basketball was the main sport I played when I was younger.
Really?
Through high school and into, right up until I started working really. So basketball was my game, but it's just kind of by accident I ended up working in football, and then it's just the way it ended up being my career.
How big are your hands, Cammy? How big are you? Oh, they're meaty.
It looks massive in comparison.
I've got big ones, I know.
Did you follow the NBA and stuff like that? You've been following all that?
Aye, so it's the biggest league for basketball, so I do follow it, but I don't follow it as much as I used to. I just now it's more just about playing rather than supporting any team. I like the Miami Heat before the time for LeBron James, just to stress that. I wasn't a bandwagoner. I played basketball was my main sport growing up, so.
Because you're quite tall as well, eh? But you're like 6'2" or something.
That's small. That's one of the small guys for basketball.
See, just on that as well. I watched because I'm pure obsessed with David Blaine just now, right? I've been watching all his videos and all that, and all these tricks, and there was
his new one.
Did you see it? It's good, isn't it?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see it? I thought you said you seen it.
Highly
So
impressive.
highly impressive. But
Highly
I watched
impressive.
a video with David Blaine, and he was doing a trick to I can't remember what team it was. It was an NBA team anyway. And David Blaine's quite a tall guy, yeah. Like he's like 6'2", 6'3", something like that. He's quite a big guy.
I'd say 6 foot and above's a normal height for anybody. See if you're below 6
That's
foot.
Because you two are above 6 foot, bastards. But I seen a video of him, and my missus as well. She was like, "Look at this size!" Like, because they must be about 7 foot plus, most of them.
Easy.
There's a lot of monsters up there,
because they made David Blaine look like me standing next to Kenny. So
no,
you tell Kenny.
I'm about 6 foot, mate.
Aye.
I feel like, see if you hit the 6 foot, you don't really know what height you are if you're 6 foot, because Gav knows his height to like the millimetre.
Oh, aye, of course.
I'm 6 foot. Ish.
I think I'm like 6'5", so I just round it up to 6'1".
Quite right.
That's what I did.
All the difference, isn't it?
I love that. I need to buy some nice big sole
Chunky
trainers. Aye, so I look a wee bit taller. But
you are a beautiful human being. Look at you. Look at that hair.
You're right.
Anyway,
you're
sorry.
Beautiful as well. You're beautiful as well. Let's
go
talk
back,
about
yeah. You're just trying to get subscribers now.
But so how did the whole kind of sports science thing come about then? So obviously you went to uni to do it. So was it just because you kind of involved fitness, you liked fitness, you were involved in sport and stuff like that? Was it just a kind of natural stepping stone? Or?
It's one of those ones. I knew I wanted to. I didn't really, in high school, I didn't really have a clue what I wanted to do. I remember when I think I was 14 or 15, I was in the sort of Basketball Scotland national setup, and at one of the camps they had a sports psychologist there, a guy called Dave Hess, who worked at a high school, like IMG Academy in Florida. It's like a big sort of sports school out there, and he came over and he was doing sort of just psychology stuff, and he was talking about his job and the places he'd been in, the players he'd worked with and all that across different sports, and I thought that sounded cool. When I quickly realised I wasn't good enough or tall enough to go professional at basketball, I sort of had to go and find something else to do. So I applied for sports science, not really knowing what it was, and I didn't even actually was lucky to get in because I didn't even meet my condition for uni. So thankfully, applied to a few places in Edinburgh Napier University, so I must have took a bit of sympathy on me and let me in. And thankfully, it turned out to be really good. And if I could go back now to pick anywhere in the world to go, I would still go there because it was a great place to learn for a start. Really hands-on, really applied. So, but I didn't really know what sports science was. I just knew I sort of wanted to work in sport, and it was a bit of a shot in the dark, really, to be honest.
See, when you, because that's like when it comes to Scotland, that's like the sporting uni of Scotland, isn't it? Like they do everything. It's not just like they do certain things. I know a lot of people, when we were at college, that was the kind of, if you get to Edinburgh Napier, it was a really good. So you didn't go to college or nothing? You just... No,
I just went straight in. I just went straight into first year now. I think Stirling Uni was the other one I applied to, but they didn't let me in. So
you're quite an intelligent individual when you were at school? Like, did you come out with...
Not really, no. I came up with a couple of hires. I think I've got higher PE, higher English, higher maths, and computer history. I think
that's much higher than me anyway.
See, in regards to grades, like, so your grades are like your height, and my grades are about Gav's height. So I'm kidding on. I'm not talking about your height anymore.
I'll pass it, mate.
The problem is I spent most of the 6 years. I was one of the earlier ones that turned 18. Me and my best mate, Greg, he turned 18 the same time as me. So the two of us ended up from March to whenever we sat our exams was a write-off. So
What's the pub in Kirky? Because me and Gav went, what was that pub called?
Puffer.
The Puffer.
Aye.
Oh, the Puffer. What a venue, man. So what was uni like then? So you were 18, you went to uni first year, freshers. Wee story.
I mean, it's just you spend your first 2 years, even the first 3 years, it's just a total write-off. So you just
is it that
going just midweek, every week. The weekends be your quiet time. Do you know what I mean? It's the total opposite when you're working. Because every night there's something on at this place or something on at another bar, or another club, or pub crawls, or pub golf, whatever else. So Edinburgh was a good place as well. Yeah. I didn't live there. I just travelled in because I was still enjoying playing basketball for the team I played with in Glasgow. So I just used to get the train in. But you quickly met people and that, and everyone, there was always parties in people's flats or people's halls or that. So
I feel as if, like, see when you're talking about that, like drinking and talk about maybe even like an excuse to drink, you would find an excuse to do something. I feel as if, Kenny, you might be the same. Like, I feel as if I've done this for the last 5-6 months. Obviously during lockdown, right? It was lockdown, just enjoying it. But since I went back to work, it's like, so Monday, I'm like, come home from work, and I'm like, have a beer. It's Monday, it was a hard day, first day back. Tuesday, we've got a podcast. I'm like, I'll just have a beer on the podcast. Maybe lay off it Wednesday, Thursday, and then it comes to Friday. I'm like, it's Friday, I'll have a drink on Friday. Saturday's the weekend, and then Sunday's the last day before I go back to work.
No, I agree. I mean,
it's just like pure
actually, it sounds as if I've actually been back working, because I've no, but I found that I get paid off, so I'll have a drink because I feel sorry for myself. I feel as if you give yourself like tiny, like new life sort of getting back into the swing of things. We're all rewarding ourselves. So I've done one day's work. I deserve a drink.
I know, definitely. And Sammy, my missus as well, like we finished work yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, do you know, I've had," because she worked quite a lot of hours over the weekend. She's like, "Oh, cause I've had a hard weekend," and on Monday she was like, "Go as a favour and jump in and get me a wee bottle of wine on the way home." And I was like, right, okay. So obviously I had to pick up beers for myself for no reason. I had no intention of drinking.
Is that because you wouldn't want to leave your good lady drinking herself, because that's just rude?
No, because I went and watched the Celtic game, but the Scotland game. But
Celtic game? What's Celtic daft, man?
Well, same as Cammy, mate. Cammy installed it in me. Aye, sorry. Talking about the alcohol chat there, but so you were in uni, and you're loving the night suit. So, what was the actual course that you done then? Is it just called sports science, like different levels?
Sport and exercise science was the full degree title, and obviously there's lots of, I think it's a wee bit better now. It's a wee bit better refined than when it was when I done it. When I did it, there was a lot of stuff in it that probably wasn't that beneficial, but irrelevant. But now I think they've refined it a bit, and it's pretty good. I think I'd quite like to go back and do a bit of lecturing. I think
really?
Point. So just sort of share your experience.
See for in a few sentences, can you define what a sports scientist is? Because they're everywhere now. They're absolutely everywhere.
It's such an umbrella term. Like it's just.
So if you're a sports scientist under this umbrella, you can be like, I don't know.
So it's like, for me, the main thing would be fitness coach. The fitness coach sums it up. If you're a sports scientist, but you know, there's the things that make up sports science would be like physiology, so exercise physiology, all your training stuff, nutrition, strength and conditioning, psychology, biomechanics. So things there's lots of other sort of wee disciplines that you could specialise in that may come under the term. But
it's kind of like overqualified personal training.
Pretty much,
aye.
I remember somebody in my basketball team called me that when I was playing it, and I took umbrage to it. But see, now he's bang on. That's exactly
what you're taking offence. Like, I'm assuming you've learned about the energy systems and muscles, where they are, what they do, and X, Y, and Z, and like you're a PT, and you're doing a PT. But in watching the whole All or Nothing thing, I was surely, do you know, do massage and all that as well? Like,
I mean, if you were to go down, you could sort of, because it's so broad, you could probably specialise, go down into like other areas. So I think a lot of people went and did sort of sports therapy and that sort of stuff, or went on to physiotherapy degrees. And so they would probably done it. I mean, I actually did do a bit of massage when I moved through to Edinburgh for my last year. And I did a course at uni just for it, and then I ended up getting a job, so I fucked my head up here. And I got a job in a physio clinic. And I got a wee job in a physio clinic, just doing some sports massage, because I think at that time I'd probably had my heart set on going and becoming a physio. When I was sort of third year, I'd gone into my fourth year at uni, and I probably had my heart set on I wanted to be a physio, so I went and got a job in a physio clinic, a private clinic in Edinburgh, doing sports massage therapy, and it was brilliant. It was good. Learned a lot there, and the physios that worked there were really good, and it was really good for seeing how a business like that worked as well. Which I'm probably drawing on a bit more now that I'm having to do that sort of stuff. But just one day, I can't remember what it was, but I just thought I don't really want to go and do that anymore. I'm trying to think. What a guy called Alan McCall, who's like he's a researcher in sports science, but he's worked at Celtic, worked for the Australian national team. He's worked for I think he's at Arsenal now, doing more research based stuff. But he is
because they're fucking riddled with injuries, aren't they?
Aye.
Arsenal's like injury list is
So,
horrendous, man.
he came in. He was an ex-student at the uni, and he came in to do a talk to the postgraduate students. And I can't remember how the lecturer. I wasn't a postgrad at the time, but the lecturer let me go and listen to him. And then just after listening to him, I thought actually that's the kind of area I want to go down and sort of do the working with players and being on the tools and working with clubs and doing the fitness side rather than the physio side. So I think that was the moment when I decided that was the.
I think it's more the see that sort of banter and like camaraderie you've got in that sort of environment as well. It's probably I'd imagine it's so different to the other avenues.
It is brilliant. It's like no other job you could ever be in. Like it's just, especially some of the clubs I've been at as well have been really good for that. And it's like there's none of it. It's like anywhere you argue with people in that, and you do follow it. Just because there is that sort of no rule, sometimes it's a bit. As long as you,
I think like the football scene as a whole, there's just such a great area with how people conduct themselves within the club. I feel like there's like even just for talking sake, Alfredo Morelos, like the way he conducts himself. If that was anybody else in a normal working environment, like how many disciplinaries can a guy get? Like, but did you do a lot of the mindset stuff when you were studying?
I did, so there was a lot of psychology work as well, and that's really interesting. I think because it's so open, and it's so, like everyone's mind is different, and it's that like you see the things like the Michael Jordan thing, the Last Dance thing, and what has
so good,
it's like so competitive, so driven, and then unfortunately not every player or every person, because it's not just the players that need to be strong-minded, it's the staff as well and other people about the club, because when things go well it benefits everyone, but when things go bad it's not just the players that suffer or miss out, it's
everybody suffers.
Everyone at the club. So
that's always a weird thing that I find when people like when a club's not doing well. So say for example Celtic just now, right?
Because you used to support them so
if let's just say for talking's sake Celtic were to lose the next 5 games, right? Neil Lennon gets sacked. How much of an impact can a manager really have on players? Like, I get obviously people can not like them or whatever, know what to play for them, but do you think ultimately it comes down to the players?
I think the manager's massive. Like they all know, like you don't become a manager, I don't think, by not understanding football. I think sometimes it just comes down to the main job of a manager is just trying to get the best out of the players. Do you know what I mean? And that's really where a lot of the time the success comes from. I've been really lucky. Almost all the managers I've worked for have been really good in that, in different ways of doing it, but they've all managed to get the best out of the players in front of them, and that's really where the challenge comes. It's not about tactics or anything else. It's just getting the best out of it. Because some the likes of Kilmarnock and clubs like that, they don't always have the best players in the league. So
they can tap into the team's like morale and even when
the character of the players as well.
Like the Man City, like All or Nothing. Just we're going to go back to you, Cammy. We're going to talk about the teams that you've been to, but just because I'm watching this All or Nothing thing, I feel it's All or Nothing. I need to see this now or never. When David Silva's missus gave birth like really, really early, and David Silva had to go to Spain, and Pep's in the changing room that day, and he's giving the players and he's screaming like, today we play for David, we play for David Fisher, and he's saying about the missus, and so we play for them, we win for them, like nothing else matters, like he's your family, and it's just that way he kind of brings them all together, and it's just, I feel like that makes everybody else want to play so much more, and it just touches something in people, and he's always going like, I'll back you in the media, like till the day I die, but in here I will be fucking honest and tell you your shit, like there's no other graces.
I think that word you use is the family. Yes, that's what it's like. Yeah, it's like a family, and every club's like its own family. And like every family in real life, there's things that happen, or there's people in the family that maybe have problems or
you don't like.
else, but
I know you say that now. It's nice. Right, so what clubs? What's all the clubs you worked at, and then we'll go through them. So if when you started your career in sports
I
science?
started at it was Rangers. It was Rangers Ladies. It was the first one that I sort of started doing, and then from there I went into the youth academy for the boys team. So it was Rangers Youth Academy, and that was sort of part time. And then from there, it was which I've been slaughtered for, and yeah, I still do get slaughtered for it. I went from Rangers to Celtic. Celtic.
Oh, you're like a Kenny Miller then, like.
Aye, Kenny Miller.
That's fine, man.
And then so it was Rangers to Celtic, and then that was only fixed term. And then from there I was at Kilmarnock, nice. Kilmarnock Youth Academy and Reserves. And then from there to most recently at Dundee first team. So, so the Kilmarnock one was a bit when I was in uni. After my master's degree at Glasgow, I was working with Rangers Ladies, and then just through things that were happening at Kilmarnock, they needed a fitness coach after the manager. The manager and the fitness coach at the time left because the club, they weren't doing very well. So my supervisor was close with the physio at Kilmarnock, and he knew my involvement at Rangers Ladies and Rangers Youth Academy, and he sort of said, "Do you want to go in and give Kilmarnock a hand?" So that was my first sort of involvement at first team level, and then I got the Celtic thing, and it was sort of back to Kilmarnock. So
how was the Kilmarnock thing? Like, how old were you then? It's rude to ask.
I've been 20. Two things. Probably about 22 or 23, I think.
How's that taking a first team in a fitness sense?
I would shit myself, aye.
Actually, Cammy, see one of the things, I don't know if you've maybe had this as well, so one of your good mates, Kenny Dougie,
beautiful human being, man.
Beautiful guy. So Dougie he was a physio, he done a bit of physio and sports massage at Dumbarton.
Aye.
I don't know if you've had the same sort of involvement, right? So he said, I can't remember the manager, but he said one day he went in and somebody, they were short for numbers at training, and he made, so Dougie's never played a game of football in his life, so no interest.
He has. Is he not?
No, he's not.
He's a fit lad as well. Oh no.
So Dougie said that the manager said to him, like, all I need you to do is somebody will pass the ball in, you lay the ball off. I think it was like a shooting exercise or something like that. And Dougie's like, first ball, somebody fucking whizzes it into him and it's like running under his foot. Next one, he's taking a touch and it's went away to the right and it's away to the left, and he's like, fucking hell, this is so embarrassing. Did you ever have anything like that? Would have made you...
Definitely have. I think I've had Rangers, Celtic, Kilmarnock, done. I've had it all of them, I think. I just made it clear from the start. I was like, listen, I'm the worst player you've seen in your life, but let's just do what we need to do and then get it done.
The ball comes out of Cam and he picks it up. He's like, jump shot.
So
sorry, Gav. Sorry, Gammy as well. I've got beautiful beers with me.
Oh, let's see this.
Brilliant!
Look at that.
I got this for Father's Day. Look, bottle open included. It's failed miserably at its job, man. all with that beer there, and it just went all over the floor.
Smashing. Get it taken back.
I know.
I'm surprised that so how long was Father's Day? That was June, wasn't it?
It was ages ago, mate.
Aye. So how have they? I take it the beers have they been since June? Because you were drinking.
No, I got them a day. Paul picked me up a day. I've been using my keg machine.
So, yeah, Kerry's fancy's got he's a pipe pouring machine.
I'm a hoity-toity, you know. But anyway, Carrie.
Sorry.
Did you take part in the ladies' game? Like the ladies' games in? You ever having to take part and you found it like were they good?
Ladies were brilliant. They were all very good, just really good footballers. And the working with ladies was brilliant because there's less attitude with the girls as well. They just sort of they're there because I think especially it's not as ladies football's really taking off in Scotland now, and it's brilliant. And the national team doing brilliant. A lot of the clubs are doing brilliant. But when I was there, it was sort of a little bit less professional. So the girls were all there because they wanted to be first and foremost. You know what I mean? They all wanted to be there, and they were happy to be there. So with that comes more of a, they're just more they're very professional, but I don't know what the word would be. You just get less attitude with them. There's less attitude in the games as well. They're a lot more honest when they play.
Do you think it's a kind of almost a respect thing? Like, because if you imagine like a guy's football, some of the stuff that gets said is real close to the bone.
There was much less ego.
That's a good word. There's a lot of entitlement when it comes to players, like male players, when it comes to football. That's what I found watching this stuff on Amazon. But I just ask is, there was the other day I read that the English females and the English males in the international level are all getting paid the same money now. There's no.
Oh really?
There's no.
At international level.
Yeah. Of course. Come on.
I think they're definitely leading the way with that sort of stuff. But hopefully Scotland, the money always does come down to money, unfortunately. But I'm glad it's good to see the ladies' game is getting better support and is generating more support from that.
Sky are massive on it, aren't they?
Right. It's good. It's good because it's getting young girls that probably like football and maybe never seen it as something they could do. That's actually giving them the chance that they can see that they could go and make a living out of it or play it at a high standard, and it doesn't just have to be just for boys. Do you know what I mean? But honestly, a lot of the girls were at the time. I was obviously with the ladies and the youth academy, and some of the girls were unbelievable. Like they were really, really good. They're really talented players that if you were to mix teams. The only thing that was holding back is just the boys were bigger and stronger and faster. But on a technical level, some of them are just as good, if not better.
Do you watch golf?
Do I? Play it very badly as well.
See how like ladies golf, apparently if you're wanting to improve your swing and improve your golf game, that's what you should watch, because technically and their technique is like predominantly far better than the men's, because it needs to be for them to get the distance and the courses that they're playing on. So just thinking about it when it comes to like, the women's game at some point, I think there will be that transition where women will be the one to watch when it comes to the technical, like free kicks or crossing the ball, and you need to use as much energy as possible, but it needs to be efficient.
I think a lot of men and boys are able to get by with their physical stuff, and they may not be as good, but they can knock the ball and go and catch up with it. But the girls will never really have that same sort of flair, I don't think so. I think if you're looking to showcase technical ability, especially to a young player, whether it's a boy or a girl, there's definitely show them there'll be a lot of female players out there that are really good role models.
See, just talk about golf here, Cam. Your brother's quite a keen golfer, eh?
My older brother Stuart, that's his game. He's really good.
What sort of level is he at? Because I've seen his caddies for one of the is that a Spanish guy?
So that's a bit of a funny one. So Stuart's level is just club level. He probably likes to think that he's better than that. He is. Stuart's really good. He's really good at golf.
He's scratch?
I think he's just above scratch. I think he must maybe 2 or 3.
Brilliant.
Which is much better than I'd ever even hoped to get at. Do you know what I mean? But
I don't even know what scratch is.
You don't need to. As you were.
If
you don't know, you don't know, Gav.
But so he's friends with a guy that plays in the European Tour from Portugal. I think it's kind of just happened by chance, really. It's like this guy was coming and playing in the Scottish Open and stuff like that, and Stuart was his only fan, basically. Stuart was like his own. So everyone else was away watching Tiger Woods and BJ Singh and everything else, and Stuart's dragging my dad around watching Lima, Philippe Lima, his name is. So, and then just over time, they just became sort of. Philippe kept noticing that this boy and his dad keep watching, and then just because of that, they just became quite close. And then sadly, he got a back operation and he ended up losing his sort of card, his European Tour card. So he had to drop down onto like the Challenge Tour, which is a sort of second division. And he was playing a tournament in Scotland, and he asked Stuart to caddy for him, just carrying his bag and giving him a hand. And they were doing, I think they were like tied 6th or something. After a couple of days, doing really well, and then Stuart had to go on holiday with his pals. And then I think he was like, I don't want to go. And my parents and I don't know what his pals were saying, but he didn't want to go. But I think even Lima was like, nah, just go. I think he fell down the leaderboard after that, but ever since then, it's just, I think he'll go, if Stuart will fly over to Portugal and caddy for him once or twice a year. I think he's been to Hamburg and did it there as well, so I don't think he gets any money from it, he just does it to help the guy out, and they are friends now, do you know what I mean? So it's
amazing, man.
And Stuart's a bit of a jet setter as well, isn't he? So I'd imagine he would like be going away in these countries and
the ironic, he's the most boring, like he gets to go to all these places and I'm like, oh, tell me about the beers you had or the food you drank, and he's like, nah, just a burger and a lager. I think he's in a corner in every country in Europe, man. He's man, but yeah, whatever.
Enough about Stuart, eh? We'll talk back about Cammy.
You brought him up.
So it must have been quite, because it's no, like you were quite a boyhood Rangers fan. You're probably maybe not like a big fan, but Rangers were your favourite club growing up, yeah?
Aye, they were, aye. Well, my family, my dad was Blantyre, so my dad and my brothers are all, back talking about Stuart again, my dad and my brothers are all Motherwell fans, so again,
that's right, aye.
It's a bit of a black sheep in the house, but I was brought up a Rangers fan, and but it was amazing, like being able to work for them, and that was class. Like
that's what I was going to say. It must have been quite a surreal feeling getting to work for your boyhood club. Do you know what I mean?
And sort of Murray Park and that, and although it was a youth team, I was working with the youth squads, and it's still amazing. Like just the facility and the club, but it was good. But it made you work hard as well because there was a lot of expectation. There was a lot of staff there, a lot of good staff as well. So the people that I worked under, Jamie Ramsden was my boss. He's still there. But the other sort of sports scientist at the academy, Luke, he's at Man United now, I think. So that's the kind of standard of staff that they're having working there. So it's brilliant for a personal point of view. For me, working there and learning from those guys was unbelievable. And then, but just again, just being in and about the club and getting to know the people that work there, and it's not just the coaches and it's the other people, like the security guards are on the doors are like legends. You know what I mean? There's even I've been up there a few times since, and you're still welcomed in. Same with the sort of head of the academy, like the relevant heads of the academies and all that. They're all just great, good coaches, but great people as well.
Who were some of the players that were kind of coming through? Was it like wee Billy Gilmore and stuff like that? Was he?
Yeah, so I think Billy was in under 15s or under 16s when I was there. But he got pushed up a bunch of age groups because he was good.
So good,
he made like Dapo, Mabudi and Nathan Patterson and Josh McPake and boys like that as well. The young ones that are sort of Matthew Shields, Lewis Mayo, the ones that are sort of coming in now were the ones that were young when I was working with them.
Right.
Like Cammy Palmer, Danny Finlayson, ones like that. So.
You're the reason why.
Who was the manager when you were there? Who was managing the team?
It was Mark. Well, it was Mark Warburton was the manager when I was there. I never really had anything to do with the first team. So I think I used to see him a few times. I remember walking in. I was walking down. The sports science office used to be sort of down where the first team training was. So I remember one time. I think it was a Friday night. I was walking in, going down ready to do my session. He was walking past with his golf clubs, ready to go for a.
Cheers, mate.
I'm all right.
Aye, definitely. But it must have been quite surreal though, that just like even just walking by, because we had Max Ashmore. He works for Rangers now in the scouting department. So he was mentioning like walking in and seeing obviously Steven Gerrard's a bit of a higher profile than Mark Warburton, right? But even no matter who the manager was at the time, even if it was Murray or if it was anybody, you'd still be walking by them thinking, "Fucking hell, that's
just mad." It's like it's the manager at Rangers. You know what I mean? It's like,
aye.
Doesn't matter. Like you say, it doesn't matter who it is. It's just an aura sort of about them. So
yeah.
I was just sort of keep doing fucking.
Oh, you still using your voice that.
Aye.
I didn't notice. We got the garage, aye.
So I know you've said obviously you didn't have much involvement with first team and stuff like that, but was there any sort of characters kicking about, even like kitmen or
at Rangers?
Staff?
Just really the coaching staff. I'm trying to think. I mean, I wouldn't just say characters, but just I'm trying to think now. Because it's the youth, everyone was sort of, I think a lot of the youth staff were trying to keep a sort of professionalism going at the time. That's at the time there was like no beards and all that. You weren't allowed to have a
Oh, really? Aye.
Not
coach.
allowed
I
to have
remember
a
some
beard.
coaches being sent up the road because they weren't clean shaven and all that. So,
Fucking hell.
right, there's just good people like the guy Gary Gibson. I don't know if it's Gary Gibson, guys like Kieran Riley, Max will know all these guys. They're just great people. Who else was there? Alan Boyd, Andy Kirk. It was just lots of just
good guys.
Good guys.
Yeah.
It was. You never felt that you were going to work. I never felt that job when I was there because I was knackered because I was doing a bunch of others, my uni stuff, the Kilmarnock stuff, the ladies teams. I was working in M&S part time to get a bit of money behind me, and I was like,
wow, man.
Shattered going into. You're pretty tired, but never felt that you were going to your work because you just get a real enjoyment of working with the players, working with the staff. It's good.
Definitely. What was the whole clean shaven thing about? Is that because it's like a kind of traditional club, like the?
I don't know. I think it was just
I want to intimidate the younger players, Gavin.
I think it was an idea just trying to set a standard or set a professionalism. I couldn't fucking grow a beard. I never had any problems, man.
What about imagine like Big Victor? Was it Victor Wanyama or who was the other boy? No, do you know what I'm even thinking of Victor Wanyama? Who's the Man U striker that Lukaku? Imagine Lukaku turning up. 6'4" under 11s. Can you shave? What?
Have you seen that boy that plays for Borussia Dortmund, the youth player?
That's the guy that looks dead old.
Oh, he's like 15, but he looks about 35. Like,
there's a lot of risk in it.
He's like 6'5".
Players, and there's like Cameroon players, and they look like 40, and they're like, I've got my certificate. Really?
This guy's a mountain, man. Like,
not
everybody's a mountain to me. If
you always think you would get one of them at every age group. Like, I just think you're like
a big movie.
And that's where we sort of felt we had a lot of beneficial on it, educating the players and the coaches. Is that the youth players were you have 2 15-year-olds, but one's built like a 17 or an 18-year-old, and the other one's built like a 12-year-old. Do you know what I mean? And it's just it's called. There's a thing in sports science called biobanding. Instead of grouping players based on their age, their chronological age, it would be based off their biological age and what their body actually would be. So it's a different way. We try to do that a couple of times, just organising these sort of in-house tournaments. So with across all the academy squads, so the sort of ones that were a wee bit better developed were all training and playing against each other, and it let the younger, because the ones that were a bit smaller at the time. It was a big thing as well, just educating the heads of the academy and stuff on that, so that they didn't release players basically based on just because they were small at the time. I mean, just going to try and stick by them and give them the chance to develop before you start making decisions on that, because I'm saying it was brilliant and it was like it was an amazing place to work, but at the end of the day it was still somewhere where a lot of the players are trying to make it a career, even at a young age. They're really trying to make it their career. So
their income. I think like the whole Scottish football thing, it was always like, he's not tall enough. He's not enough. He's not strong enough. And that was like a real stigmatism across the whole spectrum of Scottish football. And then somebody like Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, all these players came through and they're not the tallest.
No.
Their abilities leaps light years ahead of everybody.
Even when you look at
it, was kind of like John Fleck came through. Like, I know he's strong, or even Wayne Rooney. When Wayne Rooney came out, he was still strong, but he was so young.
Even Billy Gilmore.
That's what I was about to say. Billy, like me,
he's this year. He's like the last 3 years. I'm talking like 10, 12 years ago. It was so normal for like Gav, if me and you, like your ability and technical and your nippiness and speediness is far beyond whatever I could ever do. I'm a big 6 foot. I could just run into you and just poof. They've go, oh, he's really good and he's pure man.
I think that's the beauty of sport, though, is that it's not just about one or the other. It's about trying to have
marry together.
Do you think, Cammy, that because sports science now is probably one of the biggest elements of a football club? I would say, like,
I think it's one of the most searched. They're looking for the best. Do
you think it's that's maybe become down to since they've started sports scientists employing sports scientists into the clubs, is maybe being able to understand that development levels are maybe different times and getting a bit more chances rather than just going, no, you're too small. But
I think so. I think it's definitely down south. There's a lot more it's not just up Scotland is still in its infancy a wee bit, although there is most clubs have got them now. So it's still a wee bit of a luxury to some teams, but most clubs have got them. Even down the divisions, clubs like Queen's Park and stuff, they've all even if it's just at the youth academy, they've still got ones. I think obviously in England you've got departments that are maybe 4 or 5, 6 staff members, and you can now go in really in depth. And that's what you'll see on your sort of all or nothing stuff. They'll be able to go into all sorts of areas to really try and maximise what they get out of the players. And but I think it's definitely educated a lot on. It's not as simple as just going for a run, or if you're really trying to try to develop players or people, then you need to sort of have a knowledge about the area, and then just being able to apply it as well. Though it's like, because I think a big thing, there's a lot of sports scientists that are good as well, but lots of knowledge. But if you can't apply that knowledge, then and apply it to the group you're working with, whether that's the under 13s at Rangers or it's the first team at Dundee or Kilmarnock or whatever else, then
it's pointless.
Redundant.
Definitely.
I was watching I say that all on because I don't know if I've told you I was watching it.
It's an all or nothing podcast now,
It is new.
I get tested a subscriber.
We'll talk about it was all the injured players, and it was like Benjamin Mendy. He was injured for so long on it, and they took him into like a hypoxia chamber, and they reduced the. What's going on, man? Like, they could kill a guy. They could put.
That's really high end stuff. You don't get that.
That was madness. Was that not Dundee? No, was that not in Dundee?
No, quite, man.
I don't know if you've seen that, man, but he's doing boxing or that. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, this is beyond. Like,
you're just used to it in Scotland, like, just stretch it, mate. Just stretch it.
Stretch it.
Right, okay.
Get a magic sponge.
Some sawdust on it. Get some sawdust, magic sponge.
So, Cammy,
it was just on you go.
Sorry, I'm just going to say.
I'm just going to talk about it more because that's all I want to do. Talk about all
so, moving from Rangers to Celtic, right? In my opinion, the biggest derby in the world. How did you get a bit of stick?
Slaughtered, man.
Still
do get slaughtered. Most of my friends are Rangers fans, and even the ones that weren't Rangers fans were slaughtering me anyway. So, I think you were the only one that was happy with it, Gav.
Oh, I was delighted, honestly.
Well, you got the club is in good hands now. We've got Cammy.
I thought that's start a 10 in a row.
I get slaughtered for it, but at the time it was the only thing I could do. I think I didn't want to really leave Rangers, to be honest, because I like I say, I loved to go in there. I loved working with the players and the staff. It was just the club wasn't in a great position at the time when I was there, and so they weren't really able to do anything to keep me, sort of thing.
So they couldn't pay your big, massive wages.
A big thing for leaving was it was just to get a full-time job. Do you know what I mean? It was a full-time, and I wanted to try being full-time because I'd been part-time at so many different places, and so that was a big thing for going, just to get my foot in the door somewhere full-time. It's just so happened that it was at the biggest club in the country pretty much at the time. And,
I love how you say at the time there. Well rescued, Cammy. So, who was the manager? Was it Brendan? Was it Brendan Rodgers?
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers. So I started there at December. I started because Brendan Rodgers had come in and he brought lots of his own staff and stuff. So the sports science department had done a bit of a shake-up. It's a big part of what he works on and what he's leading. So he brought with him some staff members, and then they rejigged the department, and myself and another boy who was at Rangers, his name's William, he was with me. He was at Rangers as well, so the two of us actually went from Rangers to Celtic full time, basically just to get in full time. We went in, it's just an assistant role, so we're just both going as assistants to the first team, but and a lot of it was just doing a lot of legwork, prepping things for training, and a lot of stuff to do with like the GPS and heart rate monitors that the players were doing, collecting all that data and information every day, training, dishing out protein shakes, dishing out prepping match hampers and stuff like that. It was brilliant stuff because it was
out of date protein bars to them and setting the heart rate
try to sabotage.
See the interview process for that? What's the interview like? Like, is it quite intense, or is it?
I was shitting myself because the guy, the head of sports science, is a guy called Jack Naylor, and he worked at Real Madrid. So he was at Real Madrid. He'd been at like Chelsea, PSG, and Real Madrid. And I knew who he was. I knew who he was. And he interviewed me, and I'm walking in. I'm like, I can't believe I'm just a guy that's worked with the teams like that and the players like that, with like your Ronaldos and all that, and Ibrahimovic, and you're like, is he
did you acknowledge that you knew him? Did you go, wow, I can't believe him? Like, because that would be quite. If I was that guy, I'd go, oh wow, that's cool that you know me. So
you're that kind of guy, Kenny. You would walk in and say, fucking hell, how you doing, mate?
That's what people love, though. People love to get acknowledged, don't they, for their talents. So
pretty sure Cameron ever walked in and went, oh, how you doing, Mr. Naylor? Like, how's Ronaldo?
What's the second name that is, though, innit?
I still get nervous for an interview, to be honest, but I was particularly nervous for that as well. So, but thankfully it went well, and my experience at the time, just because I'd been at Rangers, been at Celtic, and been about the Kilmarnock first team, I think that was what helped me the most. And when I'd been at Kilmarnock, it was at the time when they were in the playoff with Falkirk, so it was probably like backs to the wall. Everyone was there was a lot of pressure on the club and the players and the staff. So I think that my experience there was probably what helped me get the job at Celtic. I think Jack just knew he was getting somebody that wouldn't be fazed by being in a bit of first team and stuff like that. So I think sometimes as well for me is that because I'm not a massive football fan, I've not came from a massive background, I don't really get the starstruck or the stuff. If I was walking into a basketball team like the Lakers, if I was going to work with the Lakers, I'd probably be starstruck. But to me,
just don't say Kobe Bryant, Gav, right? Because
he's no longer with us, unfortunately.
What about so see you went to like Golden State, would you be pure starstruck there? Would you like KD and Steph Curry and
man? Especially because I used to think I was a good shooter, and then
did you the Splash Bros?
That's
what they're called, Gav. That's what they're called. Because they score so many 3-pointers, it's unbelievable.
Listen, I know, Kenny, you've told this story twice now in the podcast, but I think Cammy would like to hear it.
Oh, when I done the Globetrotter thing?
Aye.
How's it, Cammy's an avid listener. He should know, isn't he, for me to tell the story?
I'm thinking in that story.
I get deja vu there. Because I've told this story that many times. When I was in Melbourne, we were really friendly with a guy who managed to just wing a job into. He was a tour guy with the Harlem Globetrotters. And we got free tickets to go, and we were talking. He's like, the night before, we had a few beers. Like, would you want to do the halftime show? Didn't he do it? And I'm like, I'll do it. Because at college we played basketball every now and then, and I thought I was really good. But as a class of 13, 14 people, when it's like guys who play football or go to the gym, were no great. So the halftime show comes about, and the guy comes up and he's like, right, come on. And I'm like, oh, is it an arena? Like an arena in the middle of Melbourne with the Harlem Globetrotters, there like 5,000 people, and I'm like, all right, okay. But I was a wee bit drunk, so down I go. Walking down this pasty Scottish guy walking out and as I'm walking towards like the court, the Globetrotters are walking by me, and you kind of get a perspective of how like short you really are when it comes to basketball. Like, I was so out my depth, man. And so the guy, the commentator, like the announcer, the guy who's taking the kind of halftime shows, like, yeah, we've got this guy, and this guy's like, where are you from? Like, Scotland. He's like, okay, where are you from? Like, Melbourne. They're like, yay! so everybody else goes after me. You need to do like a layup, a penalty shot, a 3-pointer, and then like the Globetrotters do a 4-pointer for the half court.
Right.
So I'm like, I could do the first 3. This 4th one's going to be a bit of a pain in the arse. Oh man, it was dreadful. Like, so the layup's totally fine, and then I'm trying to get this the free throw line.
Right.
So you get a minute. I'm about 40 seconds in. Can I get a free throw? And the guy's like, "Hey guys, we got the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ball in the arena." And I'm like, "Oh mate," I'm like, "You doing?" I get the free throw in, the 3-pointer, and the time goes, and I'm like, "This was dreadful, man. Like, it's so bad." I was like to my mate, "I thought you this was alright." And he's like, "Well, I managed to do it." And I went, Oh, I'm pissed, man. I shouldn't have been this. Like,
Mate, there's got to be some sort of footage of that on YouTube, Where he says that.
How did that not go
mate,
viral?
I was looking for that, and I've asked everybody else for it because I'd have loved
You-
to put it up.
Were you
Some
Googling it?
people think I'm talking shit, and I'm like, no, I genuinely did it. I
No,
genuinely
mate, you've told the
find it.
story 3 times now, and it's been the same every time. So that's when you know it's legit.
Aye, that's the joke. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, pure sticks about me. Like,
You can tell.
that is pure devastation, man.
But there's got to be
The
something.
Globetrotters won, just in case you're wondering, because
They
tense
always
games
do,
them,
don't
aren't they?
they?
But good story, mate. I like that story.
Thanks,
That's why I
thanks,
asked you.
guys.
That's why I asked you. to tell.
Just to bring my ego back to the ground, man. See, just
Ca-
quickly, just going back to Kilmarnock, Cammy. Who was this? Was there anybody in the first team that's quite hard to work with? Or was everybody quite respectful in that? Because
Oh, we're still talking about Celtic. I've got loads of questions about
I've
Celtic.
done with Celtic, man. He just
No,
get
no,
the
no, no,
protein
no.
shakes and that.
Cammy,
We'll come back
Cammy.
then.
Cammy, some of the players who were at Celtic at that time. So that was Brendan Rodgers' first year. He brought in like Scott Sinclair and stuff, didn't he? That was that.
Yeah.
That
team.
So who were some of the? Obviously, you were at first team training. Who were some of the players who you thought they are just unbelievable, like, out of this level, out of this world?
Patrick Roberts.
Oh, wee Paddy.
Amazing. Like, just the ball was stuck to his foot, man.
Aye. Tierney. What about Tierney?
Keegan Tierney was brilliant. I actually remember one thing, just something like how good he was. And it was almost something that he didn't believe it either, because I remember one time, it was after training, and they were doing like a crossbar. He was just doing a crossbar challenge himself. And Brendan Rodgers was like, I'll give you like 50 quid if you can hit the bar. And he actually thinks the bar for the crossbar. And it's like halfway. And then he's like, double or nothing. And then he fucking does it again. And even and KT was like shocked that he was even able to get something. But
man.
who else? Like,
I need to
was
Google
brilliant.
the-
Tom Rogic, his foot was like a wand, man.
Is it all? What about how much does, because you hear a lot of stories, we watch like Open Goal and stuff like that, and you hear a lot of
Well, I was
stories
going
about
to
it.
say, on Open Goal the other week, he actually mentioned you, like you said, like you
He
were
did, aye.
the reason why he is where he is. Like, he was like, do you know, my career be nothing without Cammy. Like, you went shout out Cammy.
I don't think he'd remember who I was now, to be honest. He was actually, and Katie was brilliant because he was just so down to earth. Like,
He does seem like
I think his girlfriend at the time was from Curtin Tillich as well, so he sort of knew
Oh.
the area and that. So I don't know if they're still together or not, but so we always had something to talk about. Do you know what I mean?
What about
He's in the puffer. Never got the puffer.
what about because you hear a lot of stories, people talking about like Scott Brown's influence in training and stuff like that. He's such a laugh, and then when it comes to a game, he's just like a switch. What have you seen an example of that? Like,
I think there's a few ones actually that stick in my mind, and I'm just an assistant, so I was never really. There was only a small, like, I spoke to some players, but some players I wasn't really that close with, and it's the same at every club, I suppose, regardless of your role. But I remember one time, it was after training, and we used to take the GPS stuff out, say these are the bonus, but used to sort of live stream the training, so that whatever the distances or the speeds or the work the players were doing, you could see it. And they came after one day and they were like, some of it was a bit low, so they will do some. We'll just leave it open to the players. But anyone that wants to go and do some sprints, go with the fitness coach, the guy John Curry, who's brilliant as well. I learned a lot from him. And just Scott Brown would go and he would just munch out just these sprints, man. Like, no, just a total machine. Just that again, he's somebody that's got that mindset. I think he's just he's going to work and he's going to do it the best he can. And I remember, but another time as well, if you talk about the influence he had, I remember it was. He got a red card against, I think it was Ross County, and he was banned for a game or 2 game ban. So they used to shape up on a Friday. They would have the proposed sort of starting 11 against the rest of the team. So obviously Scott Brown would always be in that starting 11, but because he was suspended, he wasn't in it. And they did like 3 sort of condition games. So it was like, I think the first game, starting 11, it was 0-0 and there was 7 minutes left. And then the next one, it was you're defending a 1-goal lead. And then the last game was you were 1 goal down and they had to try and come back and win it. It was just sort of wee conditions they would put on. And the starting 11 get pumped, basically. And and I think it was sort of unanimous about the staff that everyone was like, well, if Scott Brown was in the starting 11 team, that probably wouldn't have happened, because at least he'd have been like,
wow, man,
just pulling the chains. You know what I mean? Pulling the strings.
Is it a fear factor, or is it like a spurring everybody on, or is it a bit of both?
I mean, I couldn't speak on behalf of the players. You know what I mean? But I think
you need to.
I think probably a bit of both, man. I was probably scared to speak to him a lot of times, but again, just you always find things you can speak to guys about. Because I'd studied in Edinburgh and I lived there for a wee while, I was able to speak to him about wee things like that, and he was always dead on to chat to. But I did take training seriously. You know what I mean?
Did you ever get any of the boys, like, so maybe like KTE, who's like a diehard Celtic fan?
Fed up a Celtic chat, I'm going to tell you.
Did you ever get anybody like that? Did they ever ask you about, like, would you support and have a bit of banter that way? No, is it just?
So I kind of get away because me and my mate William started at the same time. Willie, his name's William for a start. So, and Willie just for day one didn't make it any secret that he was a Rangers fan. So, poor Willie, man. Willie got so he used to have to take it, and this is when, you know, Celtic didn't lose a game that year, and they battered Rangers in all the old firms. And poor Willie gets slaughtered. He had to take all the punches, while I was just sort of with my mouth shut.
You've always got the thing you can fall back and say, don't bother with football. I'm a basketball man.
Yeah, but I think Willie's been able to he's getting a bit more of a laugh now, because obviously the Rangers are starting to do a bit better against Celtic. But at the time, I think Willie took all the punches for me, thankfully. So
she just on this year, just because we've spoke about Rangers and Celtic. If you know that you can predict, but if you had a prediction, what do you think is going to happen this year?
Rangers win the league.
Thanks for your input, Kenny. Back to the toilet now.
Always listen to me.
It's so hard. I think you don't even know how the season's going to go. I think Celtic have got a bit of catching up to do, just because they've played less games because of the break, the COVID stuff. But so I think there's a bit more pressure on you when you're chasing.
Definitely.
So I think Rangers will hope. I'll say Rangers, just to be Rangers will win the league.
See how you spoke about Willie, and does he still have a job at Celtic?
No, Willie's still there. Willie was,
do you know?
So Willie's done that. He's very, very
because
good.
He was well known because he's a Rangers fan, or was it because he's good at his job, or is it, do you know, people are dead likeable?
He's brilliant at his job. So the job, particularly that job we were doing, like handling a lot of data, spitting out a lot of training reports and that stuff like that. And Willie was absolutely brilliant. I think he's somebody that's helped me a lot still.
Brilliant, good.
Yeah, so he's still there, but I think that's what's just saying to Gav there, Kenny. I think he's getting a bit more of a laugh now because you heard.
In my ear. Don't you worry.
Don't miss nothing.
No, I don't miss nothing.
But
it's good though that he's still there, and he can actually trouse them back, because it's nice to. You should go up. Do you still go up to wherever they train?
I've not been. I probably should. I think just now when I'm out of work, I probably would like to go up and just visit a few clubs. But I think it's just been a wee bit funny now with the COVID stuff.
Of course.
But I'll probably try and give somebody a shout and get back up to a few places. Just that, not even just the clubs I've been at before, but just different ones, just to see things. You know what I mean? Right. That's a good thing about football, is that the community of it is quite tight knit. So, and when I was at Celtic, I remember Paul Hartley and Jack Ross and that coming in to observe for a day when they were out of jobs. You know, managers do it, and so do the staff, like the physios and the sports science staff. Everyone's quite accommodating to get people in for a day here and there.
Gary, see when you mentioned Jack Ross there, I don't know if you listened to Open Goal when Si Ferry did an interview with Lewis Morgan, and he was saying that Brendan Rodgers and Jack Ross were like pure best buddies, man. Like Jack Ross would always come to, he used to come to training like all the time and watch Celtic train, and Brendan Rodgers would give him advice and all that. It was fucking mental.
Brendan Rodgers was good at that with a lot of managers, to be honest.
It's a good thing, though.
Every couple of weeks, there would always be somebody that would be coming up.
I think he's.
But I think his way of working was fucking revolutionary up here. Do you know what I mean? And everyone sort of wanted to know the secret, and again, he just got the best of it.
Proof's in the pudding, innit? He's done so well. Was it who was there at Celtic when we were on Open Goal, and he says like the first day they turned up, he gave everybody like this wee dossier about who he is and what he's about and what he's looking for, and he went around every single person, and training was planned out. There was like big projectors and that when he turned up to training, and
It changed a lot of things, eh?
I was still
professionalism is brilliant. For me as well, it was like my first full time job to be there was brilliant, man. Because like I say, you guys at Jack that had been at massive clubs, Glenn Driscoll, who was like the head of science and medicine, so he was like the boss of all the fitness coaches and physios. He'd been at Chelsea and Swansea and everywhere, with Liverpool with Brendan, and he was amazing to work with. Tim Williamson, the physio, John Curry, the fitness coach, who'd been there before, but just the standard of staff was brilliant and plenty to learn from them.
Did you meet Brendan then? Did you meet Mr. Rogers himself? And
Aye. So he used to come in. He'd been in the gym every morning. And
was he? Aye, he's a fit lad.
He lost a lot of weight, Cammy. Remember when he first joined?
He was really in his training. Do you know what I mean? He was been in the morning and sometimes after at the end of the day as well. So he liked to keep himself in good nick. Chris Davies as well, his assistant. He was an absolute legend. He's probably one of the best coaches I've ever worked with. Just his enthusiasm, just the way he delivered training was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It's just
he took him with him to Leicester, didn't he? As well, Chris Davies. As well as
Brendan Rodgers came up here to buy all the property. I thought that's what he done. He came up here to buy hundreds and hundreds of property and then fucked off to Leicester.
Cammy, what about Kolo Touré?
Oh, what a guy, legend.
What was the script for him? I was talking about that today.
He's a coach.
He came up here.
He played for Celtic.
Was he coaching? Didn't he play for Celtic today?
He was a player when I was there. I don't know how many games.
Did he play a game? I don't know if he played a game.
He played. He was playing games, but he.
Google this.
Okay, you don't watch football, so I'm telling you, he played a game.
Man came up. I don't play that. I watched that.
That was a good thing. So the way Brendan would, like saying, I wasn't working particularly closely with him. I was always going via the sports science staff.
So you were in the meeting room. It was you and Brendan. You sat down that morning, shoot the shit.
No chance. No. I would get it. I think I would get it third string. That somebody would tell somebody who'd tell somebody who'd tell me.
Chinese whispers.
But Kolo Touré eventually he started sitting in all those morning meetings because he wanted to go and do his coaching. So Brendan and Chris, Glenn, all the staff, they he would start having in with that. Do you know what I mean? And he did, but he just contributed in another way. Like there's a lot of French speaking players, and so Kolo would sort of help communicate with them. And but when he sort of started wanting to get more involved in coaching, he was going out to the morning meetings and just listening and learning through how they would plan and set up training or analyse opposition teams or whatever else. So,
do you think that was a stroke of genius? Like he's come up as a player, known fine well. He's going to elbow his way into the coaching. I'm being serious when I say that because the football world's so tight knit, innit? Like even look at Frank Lampard just now. Who was John Terry coaching with? Was it Villa? John Terry. Aye. See, Gav, I do watch football.
Aye. You look on Instagram, mate, and find out all the facts, didn't you?
No, it was on All or Nothing the other day. So
I'm just waiting on All or Nothing coming up along the bottom.
Sponsored by.
I was going to say, brought to you by Amazon because I got a message an email from Big Bezos the other day. We're going to be on Amazon Audible soon. So
we are indeed.
So it's exclusive.
That's where the plug's been coming from.
Just in case people think Jeff Bezos actually emailed you, Kenny, it was some person from Amazon messages, didn't he? And said,
No, it was Jeff. Signed Jeff Bezos.
Right, Cammy, see on Kolo Touré last thing, did you see after the Invincible season when obviously I think it was after Celtic won the league or the Scottish Cup? And one of the cups they won, I can't remember what one it was. Were you remember in the dressing room when they done the Kolo Touré, Yaya Touré dance thing?
Aye.
Did you see it? Were you there?
I seen it. I wasn't there. No, I was. I was. All the staff get invited to the boardroom. It's sort of at Celtic Park for a thing after it, and the ones that worked in the football department were in like a different lounge. So I think myself, William, Rob, the nutritionist, I think we were all half cut by that point, and there's a free bar up in the stadium, so I think we were all half cut by then.
Did it feel weird? Did it feel weird celebrating a Celtic win? If you know what I mean? If, like being a Rangers fan, did it feel quite weird?
Not really, because
You're celebrating your work, aren't you? You're celebrating what you've accomplished and helped produce.
you don't just see the club. It's not just about the club doing well. It's the people that are putting in the work every single day. It's so you're celebrating for them, and the manager, the coaches, the players, and your part. And you've played that. My part was particularly very small, but you're still being a part of it. So it's nice.
Where would you have got the protein fee if it wasn't for you, Kelly? And between the three of us, we know what that contributes towards the repair and
regrowth
function.
You're
a big traitor bastard, so
right, Cammy, so from Celtic you then moved to Kelly?
Yeah.
Is that right? So I remember, I don't know if this was at the time where you were working with maybe Rangers ladies and youth in Kelly, but I remember you like talking about your commute and stuff like that, and how tired you always were and blah blah blah. So how difficult was the commute from, because you were still staying in Kirky at the time, and then commuting to Kilmarnock? So that's a fair jaunt. Like that's.
I mean, you just get in the car and drive. I think I was tired because of everything. I've just felt a bit worn out sometimes just because of all the stuff I do. Like I think my shift for M&S was maybe 5 till 9, and then I had uni, and then Kilmarnock at the time. Lee Clark was the manager, and he moved training to 3 o'clock to coincide with a kick-off. So if the match was at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, that's when training would start. So it meant that I was able to work in the M&S, go to uni, and then go to Kilmarnock, and then after that maybe go to the youth academy or the ladies team. So I would feel a bit done in, but you just get in the car and drive. To be honest, after driving to Dundee,
that's true.
It feels like nothing now. So
it's a lot, man. It's a lot. Like even regardless of what you're getting paid, man, the amount of miles you're putting in a car.
It
must be a lot, man. Must be knackered at the end of the day.
I know, but for me, at the time, it was
enjoying it.
Worth its weight in gold and experience for me as well. We didn't have a fitness coach there, so it was just me. And it started off, they just wanted me to do just simple things. I think it was just some of the GPS work and piss tests or something like that for the players before training. And then something glamorous like that, do you know what I mean? But Lee McCulloch and Peter Leven were the assistant coaches, and they were really good for me because they were sort of in the manager's ear, like, why don't we let Cammy get more involved with this? So then you start doing the warm-up training, and then you start doing matches and all that. And
were you telling them to say that, or would they just?
No. So if they hadn't shifted the training, I probably wouldn't have been able to be there as much as I could have, because I obviously still had uni and I had to uni as well, starting myself. So I just think those things that just happened to work out and happened to fit and work for me. So,
Kilmarnock Football Club moved everything to accommodate you.
It's funny because I ended up getting an operation in my knee for. I hurt my knee playing basketball, and it's one of those things I never ever went to get it checked. And then when I did, it was like, fuck, you need to go and get an operation on the bone. So I had fractured my knee, so I think the first day I met the manager, I was in crutches. I'm fucking hobbling about. So
I should be a sports scientist. I
felt playing another sport. I felt playing basketball. I'm here to take football players for you.
I know. So thankfully, I still went down. Even though I was in crutches, I still wanted to go down and try.
Right, no, good. So that was when Kilmarnock were pushing it. Kilmarnock were doing very, very well.
No, this was before that.
This is before Kilmarnock were pushing and doing really, really well.
This was when I think they finished second bottom, and that's when the relegation playoff against Falkirk. They beat 1-0 in the first leg, and then won the last leg. It was at Rugby Park. Won 4-0, and to this day, it's probably still one of the best days of my life.
Oh, really? Because Gary, I always remember, as I say, you had banter and stuff with your mates, and I always remember one of the biggest things, like, Gary's a closet Kelly fan. Like, you were like die-hard Kelly, but you were so passionate about the club.
There's nothing closet about it anymore. Absolutely, I love the club, man. It's right. Just the memories I had there. The people I met, the kit man. Even now, first time around, the players that were there, there wasn't many of them, but a few of them were still there when I went back after being at Celtic. And just the staff, the players. It's just that's a total family club, and then to go through the playoff thing with them as well, it was amazing. Do you know what I mean? Just I always have a bit. I think I've got my Kelly trackies on the now. Doing this.
Oh, brilliant!
That day goes by and I'm not doing something with.
We were meant to have a Kelly player on here, Gavin.
Were we?
Aye, we might have Peter Canero on, man, at some point.
Oh, so we were.
Yeah.
That's right. So we were. Aye.
Yeah, aye.
Peter still pops his heat down to the club, doesn't he know?
Aye, Peter was doing massage for
Aye, he's still.
players. He was always in the physio room, so aye, Peter's a nice guy, brilliant.
See if you can get hold of Kid on.
um,
I think he's
no
really,
issue.
really busy now.
aye, aye, going that day for the playoff was brilliant. Like we could be performances get better under Lee Clark, and then we played Falkirk away and we get beat 1-0 in like the 89th minute or something, but we battered them the whole game and just couldn't score. And then just know that at Rugby Park, it was like Saturday afternoon, it was roasting, like the sun was out, both like the attendances weren't really great at Kilmarnock until recently, but because it was a playoff, both of the main stands were pretty full. Falkirk must have brought about 7,000 or 8,000 fans for the away stand, so it was just rammed, do you know what I mean? And it was roasting. And,
were you in the first team change room and stuff like that? Were you right involved?
Aye, so that was
amazing.
That was amazing because Lee Clark had he'd been in this situation with clubs before in England, Birmingham and all that, and but they'd a projector up and they had messages for the players' families, like their wives and all that, just sort of like good luck messages.
We've got a mortgage to pay and
so,
have you gone part time and
I know. So that was amazing. They went out and 2-0 up after 10 minutes. But you could just have a feeling that I remember seeing the kit man after the warm up, I was like, I just had a feeling that Falkirk looked dead sluggish and Kelly we were sharp and we knew that we'd played better than them first time around, and done the business, thankfully.
I think that would have been that would make you love a club forever, having that experience.
It's a great time.
It's second to none. You can't get that experience. Can you buy it? Like
I remember after it as well. I remember Lee McCulloch saying to me after it as well, because we were out after that. Do you know what I mean? Still in a fucking kit.
Oh no! Everybody, I love you, man. You're the best.
I remember we were walking. I didn't know we were there. We were walking to. I had a fucking shift in M&S the next day. I think my dad done me a turn and came down and picked my car up, but he said he'd come and pick me up and take me to work in the morning.
Oh no, man!
But, I remember walking to where this pub we were going to, and Lee McCulloch was like, "That's just for a relegation playoff. That buzz you're getting. That's you know on a cup or anything. Do you know what I mean?" And I just remember.
All right, Lee.
Fuck
me, man. Just let me enjoy the moment. What was Lee McCulloch like? What was Lee McCulloch like? Was he quite cool? Was he?
Aye, legend. He was brilliant. Really good with me as well. Like, just really supportive and really just helped me get used to the environment and made things easier for me a bit as well, because the way he is, he's fun. And I remember, I'm still cringe about this. So we came in, they did a game, right, and I wasn't really doing first team games at the time, and there was a player that the manager used to slaughter all the time, right?
Oh no!
I still wasn't really sure, but he played the player during the match, and so I'm sitting in the office and they're talking about the game, and I'm just sort of sitting there doing my reports or whatever, and then they were talking about this player, and then I just sort of made a comment like, I'm surprised he played at the weekend, and Lee Clark just looked at me, man, like his face went red, and he just looked at me, and he was nuts, and he just gave me this look, and I'm just like, my face went red because I was like, I shouldn't have said that, and my face went. Beamer, like completely red. And I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna fucking batter me. And then it's just pure silence in the office. And it was like, if you imagine a square, it was like the manager in one corner, then Jig, then I was sort of in the middle, and then it was the goalie coach and the other coach. And thankfully, Jig just started giggling, and then he just got a fucking. He was like, oh, but do you know Cammy? Would you know play him? No. And then I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
See, like that experience.
There, Lee Clark would have threw me out, man.
So genuinely, like, do you know, just go, I don't know, it's just mad. Like, how old are you now? Like, how old were you then even? How old were you when you made that comment?
22, 23 then. 23, 22.
So you see that comment and you think, just wish there was a big hole.
You just wanted the ground to swallow up. Especially when he used to it was only probably a couple of seconds, but it felt like hours. Nobody's seen it, and then they're looking at me, looking at the manager, and the manager's face is just deadpan. I'm like,
I've never been in a situation that serious. Like, see a situation that serious. Now I would just go, well, should have. Like, I would embrace it because I'm old enough now to go. I'm old enough to know go. Well, I've said that now, so I might as well just take the backlash that's coming, embrace it, and go. Well, my opinion is he's a lazy bastard. And if you don't believe that, you're deleted.
That was the day.
But then never no.
That was the day I learned keep your opinion to yourself unless you
definitely. I've learnt that. I learnt that at a young age, but I don't.
Still doesn't affect you.
No, it doesn't. No, it does not.
Cammy, see the game at Robbie Park? Was that the game Greg Kilty scored a double?
Aye, that's the one.
I remember that game actually.
Kilty scored a double. I think Miles Addison scored, and then Chris Boyd scored.
Aye. See, just on Chris Boyd, so that's probably one of the players like who you were quite close to at the team, more experienced player, and they just kind of helps you quite a lot. Do you think?
Aye, definitely. Like, it helped me. It helps you. It helped me in a roundabout way because he absolutely hates fitness coaches and sports scientists.
Oh, does he? Because he loves the pies, eh?
A lot of them. Boyd's got this reputation of being lazy and out of shape. But he was a good pro, and he always.
He's a good football player. That's at the end of the day. That's what you need.
Amazing player. And, he didn't really. He wasn't into the whole sports science thing. So he really did test you. Do you know what I mean? But it made me 10 times better at my job and gave me a thick skin. Like, there was nothing. See, every other club I went to, there was nobody that could get under my skin anymore because
he pushed you that much.
Fucking slaughtered me so many times that it just.
What kind of things would they say? What would they say to you?
Just you'd be doing your warm up, you'd be like,
nice.
fucking pish, man. Fucking pish or something. Just I'm trying to keep it going and fucking you just fucking you do that small. But
did you ever go shut it, fatty?
That's test and all. You'd like, can't wait to do if I threw this at you. And I'm like,
nothing.
Do you see like Boyd is a person that he's got his own podcast now as well, hasn't he? Is it Snoddy?
Aye.
Like, seems like such a cool guy.
Definitely.
My partner Paul's nephew, he plays it. I think he's under nines. Like, now they do like it's 2000 and whatever's, and like works in that sort of generation. He's 9, and we went to a tournament down at I think it was Ayr or something like that, and it was all youth, and Chris Boyd was there to present all the trophies and stuff like that. Well, that's magic to see such a player. Like, he's an absolute legend in Scottish football, man. Like,
lots of stuff for the community and all that. And
he does a lot for food banks as well, did he? He's always there trying to help everybody.
He's really involved about Ayrshire for the community and stuff, and big advocate for mental health and stuff, particularly in sport, because football can be quite vile and sinister at times. So Boyd was really good for that. But on a personal level for me as well, he was brilliant because he made me better at my job, and because you learned what players wanted and what they didn't want, and not to hit them with all the bullshit that he'd probably been hit with off other fitness coaches, and just being honest with players and, like I say, get the thick skin. But also he did help me, like, because I think for me as well, and I'm maybe this where I was a wee bit different. I was going to think, well, Chris Boyd get more experience with sports science than I've got with sports science because he's been getting it at fucking all these different clubs. So not to lean on guys like that, and I think once it's just about trust. If they trust you, it'll be okay, and if they don't trust you, then you're fucked.
You're fucked. So what was the point where you went to Chris Boyd? Pardon me, sorry. Did you ever go, hey, well, what do you want, mate? Or was it, hey, Boyd?
I remember
what do you want?
we were playing Rangers away. We were playing Rangers away, and he wasn't starting, and it was like, so I was at half time, and he was one of the subs, and I was like. But I also wanted to try and impress the folk at Rangers because they were my old boss.
You'd left.
So I was like, which should I do at half time with the players? And he was like, he sat with me and we'll do this one, we'll do this one. And then because he was there as well, he sort of made sure, just helped me make sure that the other players were doing well with it. And it was just helped to give you a wee bit of confidence, especially because you were in the middle of Ibrox, all them people. You just
been packed as well. I know.
So it's just wee things like that. Just
come and see it.
It was really good fun.
Really. I remember watching games and like see if I knew Kelly see if Kelly were playing Celtic or Rangers, whatever, and I'd be watching the game. Like, every time it cut to somebody who was near the bench, I'd thought, "Where's Kelly? Where's my pal on the telly?"
Did you, Kev? Did you?
My face for it, man.
But I read on, I think it was Dundee Football Club's official page website. They posted. So were you end up the head of sport science and medicine at Kilmarnock?
So after the Celtic thing, I went back in because they needed somebody to head up their science and medical department for the academy.
Right.
And because I was known, because of being the first team for the playoffs and that, and Lee McCulloch had became the manager at the time, it was just like, just get Cammy back sort of thing. So yeah, I went back there and I was working with the sort of academy, but also the under-20s, like reserve team, which was brilliant. I loved Andy Millen, he was a reserve manager at the time. He's now the assistant manager, but working with him was brilliant again. Just a guy that you just learn from. His experience was unbelievable, and he was into sports science as well. He wanted the support, so he was brilliant to work with.
So were you ever there when Steve Clarke was there?
Aye. So
and Alex Dyer was the assistant, eh?
Yeah. So I think I went back in July, I think, and Steve Clarke came in October. So
that must have been amazing, eh? Because he's like a god to people at Kilmarnock, eh?
Just transformed the club, man. And he did it with the same group of players. Like, he didn't really bring anyone new in, but he was. See the way he comes across. That's the way he is. You know, he's just. And he treated everyone the same. Like, even though he brought Alex with him, he treated Alex the same way he treated the physio or the fitness coach or the players. Just he wasn't close with anyone. Do you know what I mean? But there's just respect. Like, he was a manager, and that's who.
Because he worked under Mourinho, didn't he?
Yeah, he was Mourinho's assistant at Chelsea.
Assistant.
He was at a couple of other clubs like West Ham, assistant manager there, Liverpool. So he'd been and then that's all before becoming a manager himself, and he was manager at West Brom. So.
Aye, brilliant.
So just transformed the club, really.
So how did the whole Dundee job come about then? So were you finishing up at Kilmarnock and then?
So Kelly thing, I absolutely loved Kilmarnock, and I wasn't unhappy, but the club has changed. Like new manager.
Come on,
the new manager.
This is a safe space.
The manager had left, and the new manager had come in at the time, and it just didn't feel the same.
Who came in? Who was it that came into Kelly?
Alessio.
Aye, that's who it was. And
did he speak English?
What's that?
Did he speak English?
Not great at the time.
No. I feel it's something that really breaks down everything.
Aye.
It just absolutely terrorises you. What was that?
Aye. And I kind of wanted to, because that was after 2.5 years, I think, at Kelly, just sort of being at the academy. And although I still had involvement with the first team, I never really was it never was my full responsibility. So when Dundee were looking for somebody, and just again that close-knit community. It was actually the physio that got me in at Kilmarnock the first time. That got me, that said, "Look, Dundee's looking for somebody. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Well, aye."
How does the interview go for that? Do you turn up and go, "Oof"?
Do you know what? The only ever time I've actually had a proper interview was the Celtic one.
Was it? It was everything else.
The Dundee one was. I went up. Oh, why did it go? I said, yeah, I'd be interested in it, and I got a phone call with a guy called Andy O'Boyle, he's a head of performance for the Premier League in England, and he worked at Liverpool, like with Brendan Rodgers, Jurgen Klopp, and whoever else, like this job here at the Premier League, and he was friends with the Dundee manager from working together at Coventry when the manager at Dundee was a player there, and because he's a sports scientist, he sort of knew. So he just phoned me randomly one night, and I was like, okay. It's like 9 o'clock on a Thursday night or something, and he started firing all these like sports science questions at me, like what would I do in this
situation? If you get a phone call at that time of night, do you ever think, "God, that chat"? Like,
I was ready to go to my bed, I think, and I fucking woke me up. So Andy asked me a few questions, and then I think it was sort of like an informal phone interview, and then a couple of days later, the manager phoned me and said that I was speaking to Andy. Phoned me and said, "You sounded at least I sounded like I knew what I was talking about, sort of thing. And then I went up and met the manager and Jerry, the physio.
So was that Jimmy Nicholl?
Say that again?
Was that Jimmy Nicholl was the manager?
No, it was James McPake.
James McPake, right, okay.
So Jazz, the manager, he phoned me, and then I went up and met him in the physio. This was just before they were going away for pre-season, and he was like, "Do you want to come with us still?" They were going to Marbella, I think, or something like that for pre-season. So I couldn't, because
Dundee.
It's also pre-season at Kilmarnock at the time. So it was
right.
Dundee were going to Marbella for.
Aye, it's a popular spot, believe it or not, for the old.
Wait, where's all this money coming from? I'm a Dundee fan. I would be really upset. Like that many quality players and.
Yeah, so I went and met him and Jerry, and they sold it to me, and thankfully they wanted me, and I wanted to go, and that was it. So it just sort of went from there.
Good.
It wasn't left in any sort of bad way with Kilmarnock, because, like I say, I'd absolutely loved working with Andy Millen and Ryan, the physio that was there. Me, him, and Andy were sort of worked really well together, and the under-18 squad was brilliant, and we'd set up. Me and Ryan sort of helped build the whole medical department that was in place at the academy, and we're really proud of that. And it's just an opportunity for us to go and for me to go and try being more man at first team level. And
definitely,
So you need to push yourself, especially in that environment, because if you can go there to Dundee, and if you made the right good job of it, and I feel like everything that's come in with this year's just been an absolute shit show.
Well, that's what I was going to go on. So
everything, man.
Cammy, like obviously with the whole COVID thing, you don't need to go into too much of it, but Dundee were they were under the spotlight a lot for what happened with their staff, and they let a lot of people go. And so how did it come about in your own words?
So just we were in lockdown. So we when was it? We were meant to be playing 14th of March. We were meant to be playing Dunfermline, and we trained on Friday, and then we got the word that all the games were off, all the games been cancelled, and then it just kept being sort of like, when we're going to be back in, we need to wait, and you're just sort of following the government guidelines, and then obviously all the lockdown happened, and then obviously all the ins and outs to carry on that happened with finishing the season and all that.
Yeah,
and Dundee sort of came under a bit of spotlight then, but we didn't really know anything about that, because it was during lockdown, so nobody was really, we're on furlough, so there was no stuff.
Were you getting the information the same as everybody else then?
No, we were just focusing on the players, myself, the manager, physio, the staff, just focusing on, because we weren't sure if the season was going to end, so we sort of felt a duty to try and keep the players on a half decent nick, just in case that anything came back. And then when they decided to end the season, that was it. And then I got a phone call at the end of June from the manager, which just totally out of the blue, that myself and Jimmy Nicholl, the assistant manager, we'd been let go just because the club was in a bit of a hole because of the COVID stuff. And it just came as a total shock, because we'd been getting told by the club and officials at the club that they were covered by insurance. So we were hoping that we'd be coming out of the COVID stuff better off than what we would have been. But so you're getting told one thing, and then getting hit by that was a gutter, to be honest.
There's nothing worse as well, because
it's one of those things, I think, and I joked about it with friends and family. Like when you go to first team, you're never really going to get a lot of innings. Like you're either going to move on or you're going to get sacked. Do you know what I mean? So I think if it had been results based, you'd be expecting it. Do you know what I mean? If the club hadn't done that well, or if the manager changed, I'd be expecting it, because fitness coaches change a lot with managers. But because you were getting told that everything was going to be all right, and then sort of get hit, and to be fair to Jazz, he was gutted for me, and I don't think it was his decision at all. I think it's sort of from well above him, because sports science was a big thing of how he worked, just with his relationship with Andy, and he's into it, a big influence on his training and his just his whole sort of philosophy. So I don't think he would have chose to get rid of me if he had the choice. But definitely. So it's just a bit of a shock, to be honest. But there was a lot worse things going on at the time, to be honest. So
exactly, I know.
That's what
still is.
a positive person kind of pulls on, doesn't it? Because I say that I've sat through this full thing, and I've just getting 8% of my wage, man. I'm happy.
Right.
I got the phone call, like buddy, off you go, off you pop. Like, listen,
I mean,
there's people that are dying. Like we need to really put things in perspective. Like
you had to take. There's just wee things like, you know, almost all the players were straight on the phone when they found out. Do you know what I mean? And that made, you know, that sort of.
It's amazing.
Again, Andy Millen was somebody I would lean on a lot, even though I wasn't working with him anymore. He would say, "Well, if the players are phoning you, you've done something right." Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
So players, staff are all brilliant. Dundee's a great club. Do you know what I mean? There's good people at it, and I don't
quite like you say, you know, we spoke about the whole family thing. Is it quite tight knit? Is it?
Aye, because it's you go through the trenches together. Do you know what I mean? We get beat, we get absolutely thumped in our first derby, and everyone was right down in the dumps after that. And but you're just knuckle down and get out it together. Do you know what I mean? So
see, one thing I find really bizarre about the Dundee derby is how close
each other.
How close the stadiums are.
I know, we just walked down. So we had our pre-match deal in the stadium, and then walked through our stuff, and then you just walk out. You just walk down.
Think that's a money saver? They're like, oh, we'll just fill the stadium here.
The first team
I'm sure, I don't know for certain, but I'm sure Dundee United went away and then came back in a bus.
Oh, did they?
Oh, no, you're telling lies. There's no way. There's no way. Right, guys, we've had, get your bags. We're humping it. So see overall, so that's your career at this point with regards to soccer, innit? Like soccer.
Can I call it soccer, mate? You slagged me for that before. It's called football.
I just, because I'm coming out with a right good question, it's off topic here. What's your best memory? What is your absolute? Is it probably the Kelly thing? And is there something else that you go?
That's so hard.
Well,
like
that's.
I feel like I'm really lucky. Like every club I've been at, I've worked with amazing people, staff and players.
I mean, I hope you're going to say
standout moment. The playoff was probably the best.
Just
the
total thought it would be. But I thought
then the treble stuff at Celtic. I used to come home buzzing after my session at Rangers, but I'd just be like, I fucking was buzzing off it. It just energised me a lot. And then Dundee, good moments there as well. Just being there, being involved in the first team level, the pressure of it and the buzz of a match day every week was class. But probably the best one would be so far anyway, would be the playoff with Kilmarnock.
How positive is that so far? More to come.
Well, maybe.
Cammy, I thought you were going to say your best memory was when you got me a ticket to go and watch Celtic v Motherwell. Do you remember that? You thought I was going to leave it out, but I'm going to say it anyway. So Cammy, obviously I'm a big Celtic fan. When Cammy was working at Celtic, he said, I've got a ticket to go and see Motherwell at home. I was like, all right, okay, brilliant. So we get there and they're like, what are we going to do about parking? So Cammy's like, I've no idea. So we tried to get a space around about the stadium, but there was nothing there. It was like jam-packed.
I'm fucking flashing my badge like Chief Wiggum. Trying to the fucking guy. I'm like, oh no, I work for the football department.
Do you remember what the guy said?
He's a very good pal, but you still can't.
So Cammy tries to pull into the fucking one of these big car parks, and shows the steward. He's like, if you get a booking or whatever you would call it, Cam's like, no, but I'm staff. And he's like, aye, very good pal, but have you got?
Fucking, it's like 5 minutes to kick off as well, isn't it?
I know. Aye. See, to be fair to the guy, he let us park, didn't he?
Aye, it was good to be fair, but that was my fall for grace moment. That was when I realised actually you're no special.
To be fair, you would think that they would let staff park. Do you know what I mean? Because you're still staff at the end of the day.
60,000 people.
Should there not be staff parking all the time?
For players.
I wouldn't be there.
That was
Chief Wiggum. That was a great reference, man. Waving my badge, Chief Wiggum.
But anyway, so you've moved on for the pro football side of things, and you've now started your own PT business. So obviously the timing that you started it was obviously difficult, but you were your hand was probably a bit forced with the whole situation that's been going on with COVID and whatever. So, how's it went for you so far? Has it been quite a hard transition, or has it been?
I mean, it's been good. I mean, it's something I always wanted to do anyway. But just when I was working at the first team, you just sort of, because it just made football in general, it's just so insecure. A lot of the guys that work in sports science in that sort of industry have all got side jobs, sort of wee side hustles that they do. So it was something that I thought, something I wanted to stick to or start doing, just so I've always got something to fall back on should what happen. And but I just had to start it sooner than what I probably had planned, just given the circumstances. So it's been a hard transition just because it's not what I'm used to, and there's a lot of stuff that you're doing that you have to do that you didn't think you would need to do, and a lot of self-promotion that I'm probably not very good at, to be honest. But it's been good so far. I'm enjoying it. It's just something fresh, and it's working with a different kind of person from what I'm used to as well. Obviously, I'm really used to working with footballers and that side of things. So working with people that are maybe a little bit more general public has been quite refreshing.
And your knowledge as well come into play a big factor, because you've got all this experience of high level athletes and what their regimes are like, but at the same time you've got the knowledge of where to start from. Do you know what I mean? And how to build it up to. So not saying that everybody you're going to PT is be an athlete, but you've got it there if need be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely helps. But I think the biggest thing for me is just toning it down a wee bit. My girlfriend, her uncle's a really good PT, and went down to visit him, and that's what he was sort of saying as well. Like, just take all your knowledge and experience you've got is brilliant, but you need to be able to just tone it down to the normal person, basically.
Don't overcomplicate it, kind of thing.
Pretty much. So, I've been enjoying it. It's been good. I've got a good wee group of clients that going on, and they're all working away. So,
try to create a lifestyle for people rather than, because at that time when you're with clubs, that's a life.
I think as well, what I have noticed so far is that there maybe is a wee bit more willingness for the PT clients. Like sometimes the footballers, it's like a job to them, and they're not really bothered because and there's other factors. But
fuck up,
well, Cammy, the thing is, like, players are getting paid for you to be there. People are paying you for your services. You know, that's the difference between it. People are actually wanting to do it. You know what I mean?
It's a different kind of accountability on myself as well. Do you know what I mean? So before, I was always there for the players, but if they didn't want my support or they didn't want to work with me, then I can't really do anything about it. But now, people are paying you money for they deserve a certain standard of service, don't they? So it's just different from that kind of way as well.
So what's going to happen in the future? Are you going to try and get back into clubs? Or
I would like to.
I do both. You seem to be a busy boy. You seem to have loads of energy.
Well, hopefully I can. I'd like to get back in. I mean, there's not many clubs left for me to go to.
No.
I would like to. I think I would like to get back into a club in some way. There's hopefully.
I mean, do you know what I would love?
What's that?
I'd love you to be a part of 10 in a row.
I'd love to be part of that, I know.
Back into Celtic.
But right now I'd take it. So, but no, I'd like to get back in. Like I say, it's a tough industry, and it isn't very secure, but it's good. It's what I know, and the people I've met, the memories I've got, it's been brilliant. And maybe I'm just lucky that every club I've been at has been brilliant. Worked with great players and great staff. So,
is it as insecure? Is it as insecure as like you're saying? Is there no way? Like,
it's just because it's results driven.
You need to see if you get in at a club and the manager really likes you, then the manager will take you with them, or is it going to be like you're in the roots of the club? No,
I mean, I think that can happen, and that happens quite commonly. Is that if a manager moves, he'll take his backroom staff with him. But at the same time, because of that, if a new manager comes to where you're working, then he might want to bring his own people, and for that reason, you're not required. So it's nothing personal about it. It's just guys, they've got their team, and that's who they want to work with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I say that was the birth of the 0-hour contract, isn't it, man?
Mr. Ashley was the birth of 0-hour contracts, but we're not getting him. That's a whole podcast there.
Anyway,
so Cammy, got one more question for you.
Gav,
This is a highlight of the podcast, right?
take it away. There will be one that I'll do it, but I'm not going to do it now.
You need practice, eh?
I've been practicing in the mirror.
Right, so Cammy, if you could have one drink and one drink only, what would you have and who would it be with?
Like, could it just be anyone?
Anyone, any drink.
Anybody. It's the magic of the question, Cammy.
What would I have? Well, I don't know, you might remember, Gabby, you know I'm a bit of a beer wanker, so for me it'd be the craftiest of craft beers I could find, sorry.
Hey.
Exactly. Who would it be with? Oh, I don't know.
Pulling your leg here,
I mean, I'd probably say some stupid thing, my girlfriend or my parents or my family.
Hey, you say that if you want. That's the best
That's
answer.
what you like.
I don't think she would drink craft beer, so...
It's what
Cammy, see while you
would drink.
See while you... Aye.
Sorry, Gav.
I was going to say, see while you think. One thing I remember about you as well, do you remember, I think it was in the way back for the Celtic game, we were going up to Gary's house, and we stopped in at Asda, and you got this like special wine. Remember you kept talking about it?
Aye.
What was that? It was like a Scottish wine or something like that?
Aye. I used to drive past them on the way up to Dundee's there, I never ever went in. Because I used to...
Is it in Perth? Is it in Perth?
Aye, not past Perth. Cairnmore. It's because...
Cairnmore. Do you know, a boy in work was telling me about that the other day, and I've no clicked. It's the same one. Was it?
I can't give it to you because I fucking couldn't drink it.
Right, so you're not having a glass of Cairnmore.
Yeah, that's certainly not what I would be drinking. I don't know. If I could pick anyone, I'd probably pick Michael Jordan.
Oh, yes.
Wow,
yeah.
right.
Him,
absolutely magic.
Spend a few minutes in his time, and I think his mindset would be infectious. So I'd probably come out of that half cut and think I could win the world. So.
Have you seen The Last Dance? Like his eyes are pure jaundice, isn't he? Like pure yellow.
Aye.
That's mad.
Like he's got a condition though, eh? Is it jaundice he's got?
I don't know. I don't think he's just smoking all them cigars and
probably.
It's a lifestyle.
I think it was probably his lifestyle for that. So
there was a story I heard about he was playing like with the Bulls and they were at the pure peak, and he'd be sitting outside with leaning on his Ferrari, smoking a cigar, watching the first team players come in off our coach. And this is his way of like getting in the mind. Michael Jordan's standing outside, leaning.
Who would you two pick?
Smoking a cigar. Oof. Oh, we've done it before, man. We've done it all before.
So I said I would have a Manhattan with Barack Obama.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Just nice, to hear his stories. He's a cool guy, isn't he? Cool president.
He's suave, isn't
he?
Kerry's was a good one.
Way more boring, man. I just did a pint of tennis with my old man, with my dad. So
aye, that's nice.
Just
I'm the same. I'm prefer the quiet life now. So going out with my bird or my family's a nice one. So
but you'd rather go for a craft beer with.
I used to have this. I've got this reputation of being really bad for cancelling things, and some of my pals call me Canny McGill.
Oh no, Canny.
I make plans and then I end up cancelling them, or I double book myself, so I'd end up having to Canny on Michael Jordan to go and
Canny.
Family.
We're more than aware because we've had to cancel this podcast about 4 times.
Well, there you go.
No.
That was yours as well.
Twice was Canny. Once was Kenny. Gav's been there the full time.
I've been here sitting waiting, just watching me and my light behind me.
Look at you go, man. You've been amazing, Gav.
Thanks, mate.
I've had the teddy bears behind me, Cammy, as you're aware.
Teddy bears.
Outside, man.
Had to get it in. But anyway, Cammy.
Nothing. Anyway, no. Thanks very much. Appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having on.
I'll tell you this, just hang on when we go to, because people seem to just switch off. Switch off. This seems to be a recurring thing. We need to tell people.
I know. We always forget to tell people before we start, don't we? But anyway, Cammy, a pleasure, mate. Love your stories.
Thanks for having me on.
It's good to see the background sort of side of things.
Aye, it's amazing, man. I actually loved it.
Cheers, lads.
You take care, mate. All the best.
Boys, catch you later. See you later. Bye-bye.